I'm good. How are you?
We're confirmed. Great. Thank you.
Go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Darius Shanfar. I am the chair of the IDA Finance Committee meeting, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. Our first order of business, because we have some new faces here, I think we'll go around and introduce ourselves to each other and to the public at large. So again, I'm Darius Shanfar, Albany City Treasurer and chair of the Albany Industrial Development Agency Finance Committee. So, John.
My name is John Maxwell. I'm a new member. I am an attorney in Albany.
Anthony Gaddy, co-founder of the Upstate New York Black Chamber of Commerce.
Joe Better with the New York State Office of General Services.
Oh, Liz Stoddard. I'm the chair of the IDA, and I work for Willdan Energy Services doing advancement of energy code.
Chris Betts, also a new member and a City of Albany resident, and I run a development consultant business.
Terrific.
Do you want me to introduce
Sure,
staff?
why not?
So
Yes.
Sarah Reginelli, CEO of the IDA and CRC, President of Capitalize Albany Corporation.
Tom Conoscenti, Senior Vice President, Capitalize Albany, and Chief Operating Officer and Interim CFO of the IDA.
Andy Corcione, Senior Economic Developer with Capitalize Albany and the Project Services Director for the IDA and CRC.
Amy Thompson, Manager with BST and Company.
Emma Fulham, Economic Development Specialist.
Mike Bone, Communications Manager with Capitalize Albany.
And Joe Scott, Partner Hodgson Russ, Special Counsel to the IDA.
And Darius, I do think we also have Renee McFarland on the phone. She is at home and zooming in or calling in for us, and she'll present a little bit later in the agenda.
Okay, terrific. We're also missing Albany Corporation Counsel today. Marisa Franchini is usually with us, but unfortunately not today. With those introductions, that tells you that we have all members of the actual IDA here today, not just members of the Finance Committee, with the exception of LEAC. Our first order of business, I would call for, because the minutes, the previous meeting have been previously distributed, I would call for a motion to accept those minutes and waive the reading of those minutes.
Well, move.
Joe? All right. Tony? Any discussion, changes? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We have no report from the Chief Financial Officer today, technically. We also have no unfinished business today with the IDA, which is relatively unusual, but we do have new business, which is the draft IDA budget. So that is in your packet, and I don't know if Andy or Tom?
I will go through it. So overall, the draft 2023 IDA budget is very, very similar to the 2022 budget and is projecting a surplus. On the revenue side, we're projecting approximately $1.2 million in fees using an average of past years. And this translates into roughly about 8 potential closings in 2023. On the expense side, where we expect potential increases, we've adjusted them. But on the whole, expenses remain relatively similar to 2022. One change to note is that we are budgeting for new conference room technology to improve the live streaming that is required of IDA since January of 2020. Last, as a placeholder and based on previously discussed strategic activities, we have budgeted $100,000. As background, last year the board had approved the use of this line for market studies and the matrix refresh, and this is just an example of the types of projects that we've used this line for. Amy Thompson from BSD, who assisted us in preparing the budget, is here as well, as you know. And in terms of process, particularly for the new members, the bylaws require us to prepare a draft budget by August 31st and send that to the treasurer, which we had done. Generally, we discuss the draft budget in September, and if there are changes, the Finance Committee will circulate a revised draft. We then post the budget for public review, and then we'll seek final approval in October. And then after approval, we do submit the budget to the authority's budget office. That's done at the end of October.
Perfect.
With that, we can happy to answer questions.
Actually, maybe could you guys talk a little bit about what we can use the budget for, other than operations here, and more broadly, since we have some new members and.
Sure. So I'll start with what we can't use it for, because that's
always the best idea.
That is what is always first and foremost in our mind. IDAs are prohibited from using their funds to distribute grants and loans in particular. So that is one piece that we are statutorily not able to provide. And so we, outside of that, we can really look at our resources to promote our mission, and that is included on the website as well as in the welcome packet that was provided to new members as well. We were able, if you have question marks in your head about, I thought I saw some emergency grants during COVID, there was a special provision of the legislature to allow for that. So we, as an IDA, did take advantage of that opportunity to provide small business grants. We, outside of operations, can again look to really economic development activities that promote job creation or economic vitality in the community.
Great. So seeing as we have a good chunk of change in there, I think we'll have discussions, I'm sure, over the next few months is what we can, if anything, put that money towards.
Can I mention for the record, was it just
Nope,
outside
go
of
for it.
just for the record, what you won't see in this budget is the Liberty Park transaction that the board has been considering overall. So you'll note that that is not part of the projected budget for next year. I would note, however, that the agency does have an agreement with Capitalize Albany Corporation to be responsible for all expenses related to that activity. So that will be a pass-through item. It would be a neutral item for the 2023 budget if there are expenses related to that. Am I characterizing that correctly, Joe? Is there anything else you'd like to say about that?
No, absolutely correct. In fact, as I've discussed with the members of the board, we already have money deposited and held in escrow. We have from several sources, and with respect to costs, those have been passed through to CAC, and they've efficiently and promptly addressed those costs.
Great.
One thing, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, I would like to discuss the management contract numbers. I've had some conversations with staff recently about the contract numbers, and they provided some historical information that I would like to discuss potential changes to that line. And I think just given the nature of the conversation, if we can go into an executive session with Tom and Sarah present to provide some additional information.
And I think the purposes of that would be discuss the financial history of a corporation or the discussions related to the corporation as well.
Okay. So I'll move to go into executive session. Second. All's in favor? Aye. All right.
And
Are we live and recording?
We are.
Back? All right, we are back from executive session, which ended at 12:36, I believe. What was discussed was the management contract that the IDA has had with Capitalize Albany for, well, the life of both organizations, I think. And what we discussed was really the changed economic circumstances that affected everybody, and the additional costs, and particularly additional salaries needed to retain individuals and to operate as our optimal fashion. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Liz? Or?
no, I think you
Okay.
covered it all.
All right, great.
I guess we did need to note that staff during executive session did leave the room for the final conversation as well.
Yeah, and no action was taken.
Yeah.
That being said, I think what we discussed was review the salaries undertaken by staff and to review what is necessary for them. And the figure that was brought to us was for an increase of $138,000, I believe, in the management contract, taking it to slightly over about 630,000 ish. So we have in front of us, if I can see. That's okay. So I think the proposal would be to add 138,000 to the figure here, which is 494,238. If I got that right.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, I would ask for a motion to increase that line by $138,000.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Liz. Second, Joe.
Second.
Any discussion? Anything we haven't discussed, left out? All right. Well, in that case, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously, so the budget will be amended to show that increase. For the record, also say that the IDA as a whole is budgeting a surplus for next year based on past performance, and is also currently has reserves that will be able to handle this increase in the management contract. And from my point of view, the best aspect of this will be doing our best to retain incredibly valued employees. So with that, I think we can move on to the next item.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, we should vote on the budget. Any other discussion on the budget? Any other issues or questions anybody has? All right, then I'd ask for a motion for a positive recommendation for the 2023 draft budget to present to the full board for approval. Joe? All right.
Second.
Second, Liz. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So next week, we will have a vote on the budget.
Darius, can I ask,
Yeah.
would the board like to consider this at next week's meeting, or would you like to hold off until the October meeting, barring any craziness in the world that could happen? We don't need to have the budget approved until
We have
the
time.
end of October. We do have time.
The only thing I was going to say, I believe it's a 10-day posting requirement at the city. So I think we have.
So it should be for the next
So I
meeting.
think it would be for the October meeting,
Okay.
if possible.
Great.
All right.
I can confirm that afterwards, but I believe that's the.
October's fine with me. Yeah. All right. Next order of business, agency update.
Well, we have 2 new members, which is very exciting. Thank you very much for joining. And so this is, again, you all know this is the first meeting that we do have you here. Currently, we had passed a provision recently that all members of the current board as of a couple months ago were members of all committees. That was due to how short we were on board members. We will be coming back to assess committee appointments. We'll bring that back to the governance committee at some point to work through. In the interim, however, we will get a training scheduled. It's an IDA 101. It's riveting. Very excited to attend that. And staff and council will conduct that, and we can go through questions and sort of frequently discuss topics as well to get you geared up. For the rest of the board members, the 2 new board members have been sworn in, and so they are fully fledged, full voting members of the full board at this point, and committees that you're interested in and that get appointed to, you have full powers there as well. So all votes count next week at the board meeting, so get ready for that. Very excited to have you on board. You all were able to watch the interviews and have seen your resumes, so welcome, and thank you for your interest there.
Thank you.
So after that acknowledgement, the only other pieces are really quick. There is a lot going on. We don't have a lot of applications in front of us right now, but there is a lot in the pipeline that will be coming through. There are a lot of operational items. This marks, I hate to say it because it's still bright and sunny and warm outside, this does start marking our end of year season. So we will start bringing, we have the budget in front of us now, we will start bringing the end of year operations pieces to the group. Over on the Capitalize Albany side, we do like to talk about our activities related to general economic development there. I did want to make the group aware that we have a downtown revitalization initiative public workshop this evening at the Housing Authority headquarters on South Pearl. It's 200 South Pearl. That starts at 6 p.m. That's for the South Pearl Zone DRI application. It will present the community's created vision, as well as priorities and potential projects that will go into that application. It's due September 23rd. Staff's working diligently on that. That's where some of them are right now. And we also have coming up a Trucking Authority hosting a Quackenbush Square ribbon cutting for a Clinton Square DRI project that will be on September 22nd. That's all evening, I think from 4 until 8 p.m. over at Quackenbush Square. There's going to be refreshments and live music. And just a celebration of what that success has been related to the DRI in that zone. So two things to be aware of.
All right. I guess our last order of business is the compliance update, the annual review of the agency insurance policy. It's on your last page of the materials.
Yep.
We are insured.
We are insured. That's the short of it. We do have $1 million coverages for directors and officers insurance, employment practices, and cyber insurance. And I should note that both the IDA and CRC are covered under the city's general liability policy as well. Staff are not proposing changes to the policies this year, but as we do every year, we review our insurance policies with the board and finance committee, and if there were changes, we can incorporate that into the budget.
It's good for me. All right, great. Any questions, anything else? Last chance to talk IDA business.
Until next week.
Until next week. I ask for a motion to adjourn then. Joe?
Yep.
All right. Tony?
I'll second.
All right. All's in favor? Aye. We stand adjourned. We'll wait momentarily to get up onto the CRC.
The thick package.
The-
I looked at it on my